So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to be mindful of everyone's time and kick off the meeting by saying welcome. And Jennifer, thank you so much for asking me to be joining this group. I am humbled by the number of people that have said yes to be part of this committee, also by your experiences. I want to kick off by thanking Rachel for being tenacious and on point, and also for Dr. Martha, because I know I'm going to destroy your last name. Kolf?
Croft.
Croft. Okay. But in any case, I do want to say welcome to everyone. And I just wanted to kick it off with introductions. If you want to say a little bit about yourself, I'm Pat Martinez. I live in Charlotte, but I'm also living in Raleigh. Right now behind me, I'm in Raleigh and it's frozen outside. I don't know if you heard, I was trying to defrost quite a bit, but I own a company called Leadership in the Clouds for the last 12 years, very successful. It's a national management consulting firm. We help, in a nutshell, we help companies find the pain and provide solutions. We do training, we do infrastructure transformation. But basically what I do is have a good time, because it's all about the people we meet and making sure that people are in the right place that they should be and giving them the skills to succeed. I am not a hatchet woman, even though some companies call me in to just take away. They said I need to fire a whole department. No, we retool and retrain people to make sure that they can succeed in the areas that they've been hired. And sometimes attrition does happen, but mostly it's very successful scaling up companies. So that's what I do. That's my company, but I also am chief of staff at East Coast Migrant Head Start Project. I help the CEO scale up the organization, transform it. And currently I'm in Raleigh because I'm at East Coast and my family's in Charlotte. I've been married 42 years. I have two beautiful children. As everybody always says, they're beautiful. Sometimes they're ugly, if you know what I'm talking about as a parent, but most of the time they're beautiful children. My husband of 42 years is like a vacation Monday through Friday, but I see him Fridays, and I think we're dating again, Jennifer. I'm not sure, but after years, it's good to see him once in a while. But that's enough of me. I'm going to pass it off to Martha. I don't know. I know everybody knows you, but I don't know if you want to say a few words, or Jennifer.
Sure. And I have to apologize, for some reason. And I got a start video button, which I pushed, Shara, and it didn't work. But I'm Dr. Martha Croft. I'm a professor at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. For those of you who, I don't know that anybody wasn't at the meeting, but who weren't at the October 9th kickoff meeting. I study election science, and I've been married for almost 21 years, and I have two beautiful children. And I am coming to you from New Orleans, where I'm at the Southern Political Science Association meeting, and it's not warm here. I had to bring layers, but I'm here to coach. So I have a pretty deep, I guess, research background on election infrastructure, though there's probably a lot I don't know. And I'll learn right along with you, I hope. But there's a lot I know. I can help find you experts. I can guide you if there are things that you have questions about. I'm certainly here to just do whatever advice if you have a particularity of some sort of law that doesn't make any sense. I have the resources to find things out. So I'm thrilled to meet this group. I'm just thrilled. So I guess I'll pass it on to Jennifer, who is observing today.
Thanks, Martha. And I'll be short. I am, as said earlier, I'm not coaching this committee, but I am one of the steering committee for the North Carolina Commission on the Future of Elections. And I am working with Bob Orr with the Carter Center to try to bolster our democracy. The Carter Center has been doing this since 2020. As you all know, people are skeptical about elections, and they're denying the validity of elections, and everything we can do to educate the public, to restore trust, to make sure our system is strong and continues to work as it should. It has lots of quirks, And what we're going to try to do in our committees, we have 11 committees for this election commission. Each one is going to try to look at how we do things now, what are best practices, are there places to improve, or do we like it just the way it is? And along the way, we're going to be educating the public about just how it does work and all the safeguards that are in place to make sure every ballot counts and everybody has access to a ballot and to information about voting and candidates, et cetera. So my background, I've been an elected official. I have 2 smart children. Been married 30 years. Our kids are both in computer science, so they definitely feel way smarter than I am. I have done a lot of work in a whole range of things. I'm also a consultant currently, and the Carter Center is my biggest client. But I will be available for the big picture of what's going on in North Carolina with what the Carter Center is doing. And Catawba College, our gracious co-host in this election commission. And we do hope to have an in-person meeting again in July to hopefully we'll have gotten pretty far along in our findings and recommendations at that point. So, and you'll hear more of that from Pat about the and Martha about the schedule for the year. So I guess I can pass it on to the next person, maybe Sarah.
Hi, I am really excited to be here. I'm Sarah Levere. I am currently the elections director in Brunswick County, North Carolina. So I have been in the leadership director role for almost 10 years, but I've been in local election administration for 18 years. So I am getting pretty busy gearing up for this 2024 election season. So I'm Brunswick County, Southeast Coast. We have beautiful beaches. I have a 9-year-old daughter who, I mean, she might as well be a genius and computer science expert because she can probably fix any of my electronics or, you know, my phone stops working and she jumps in and like takes care of things for me. So I'm just really excited to be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
And you have to pass it on to somebody.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's pass it on to Shara Blackburn.
Good morning. My name is Shara Blackburn, and I am an attorney. Experience was with the North Carolina Attorney General's office, where I was an assistant AG, mainly representing the Department of Labor and their OSHA division. After that, I was with the North Carolina Licensing Board for General Contractors, their staff council. For approximately 20 years now, I have been working with the Wake County Board of Elections. Since 2012, I've been a chief judge, and since around 2016, I've been what they call a star chief judge, means that I am trained and can be set down in any precinct at any time, even on the day of the election. I have here our manual for Wake County. We're literally hot off the press. I'm hoping with our group that we can educate the public as to what happens on election day. I think they might be surprised. I'm trying to get a meeting with Olivia McCall. She's the newest director for the Wake County Board of Elections. She's replacing Gary Sims, who retired last year. I'm hoping with that meeting that she will educate us on what is the same across the board in the state, and then what is different, or what can we expect to be different on, you know, in local elections, because I suspect we have a hybrid situation. I have been married on the personal front. I've been married approximately 18 years. Someone that should be a political analyst. I am a mother to one daughter. She's 31 years old, about to be 32, working at Pendo in data analytics. She went from a degree at NC State in the design, from the design school into the tech industry. She and her husband are parents to a daughter, almost 2 years old, and now we're expecting the second granddaughter. So that's it in a nutshell for me.
Wonderful. So we're going to ask you to pass it along
Uh,
because this way everybody sees who's next on their
let's
screen.
see, is there anyone else? Let's see, Martha, have,
Martha already spoke. Let's try. I see Leslie. Do you want to go with her?
yes, Leslie.
Okay. I like her
have to-
logo. I
yeah.
can't see very much the logo, but I like it. Yeah.
Good morning.
Very
I'm
professional.
Leslie Garvin. I'm the Executive Director of North Carolina Campus Engagement. We've been around 29 years. We're a coalition of 39 colleges and universities in North Carolina. And part of our mission is strengthening democracy. So actually just yesterday, we hosted what we call a campus activation day, where we had folks from the Board of Elections, people from democracy organizations helping our campuses be prepared for all the election changes. Personally, I was a election official for about a decade in Guilford County. And I would be lying to you if I didn't say I have stopped doing it because of what happened in 2020 and all the antagonism, particularly that happened in Georgia, towards elected officials. And so I'm keenly interested in ensuring that folks understand that elections are safe and trustworthy. We also have been doing work with students with dialogues to help them explore trustworthy elections. And we're having an upcoming event for college students. We call it our Redesigning Democracy competition. And they are actually going to wrestle with the idea of fair elections. So our work is really to help campuses and students believe in elections, participate in elections. That's one piece of our work. We do a ton of other things, but so yeah, I'm excited to be part of this group and just this whole commission. I think it's so important, this work. Personally, I've been married 20 years, no children, and glad to be here. I will pass it on to Greg.
That's great you did that because I was thinking of that. I was sending you notes. We need a little diversity. We need to hear a man's voice now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Randolph. I'm a professor of pediatrics and public health at UNC Chapel Hill. I've been a longtime supporter of the Carter Center, and I guess that's how I got aware of this work. I had the honor of being an election observer for the Carter Center in the 2017 Liberian elections, both the initial election and then there was a runoff for the presidential election. And they just held their recent elections this year as well. Personally, I live in Carborough, North Carolina, but right now I'm in Panama. And so it looks a lot like Hawaii here, and it feels a lot like Hawaii. But I'm doing a language immersion program and working remotely here from Panama. So that's been really nice during the cold winter weather. I have two beautiful kids who can also be ugly at times, or they were when they were little. One is 31 and she lives in Portland, Oregon. And then I have a son that's currently in graduate school at UNC and lives in Chapel Hill. Good to see you all.
Greg, you could pass it. Thank you so much. And I'm not feeling sorry for you that you're joining us at this early morning because you're in Panama. But thank you for being there. Very nice mosaic behind you as well. So.
And I think maybe Catherine Thomas may be next.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I'm really excited to be here. I grew up in Hendersonville, North Carolina, so out in the mountains, which I guess y'all probably don't need that qualifier. But I am currently a senior here at Duke University studying public policy and political science. Just finished my honors thesis, which was all on voting and democracy. So I was really looking at early voting on college campuses and how that helps students have access to the ballot, and then the role that local election administration, university admin play in facilitating that process for students. So that was really exciting. Got to talk to a lot of university staff, election staff, and students throughout that process. I've also done research on election administration and some of this work with harassment and the safety that election workers faced after 2020 at a summer internship in DC at a place called Issue One. So definitely still dipping my toes into all of the election work, but really excited to dig deeper with you all and use some of the experience that I have from the past opportunities that I've had to help kind of further our goals. So excited to be here with you all.
And you'll see in chat, somebody's requesting to see your research. So just wanted to point you out there and everybody to that part. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I do know where Hendersonville is.
Yeah,
We have
I
the
always-
educational campus there
yeah.
and it's, yeah, a really cool
I always
place.
add the qualifier, especially here, because a lot of people aren't from North Carolina. So it just kind of rolled off my tongue.
And for
Catherine,
Jennifer's
I-
point, there's a compare food there.
Mhm.
Did you work on the report that Issue One recently issued about election violence and turnover? I
Yes,
think
helped
that they
with-
just, that's extremely cool. That's a great report. That's a
Mhm.
Yeah, I was
great
doing a lot of the
report.
fact-checking,
I'm
to do
excited
the-
that you have a good relevant experience in that
Thank you.
because I
Thank
think
you all
it's
for
an
having
issue
me.
that worries me quite a lot, the
Yes, thanks.
violence against local election officials.
Mhm.
Extremely cool. Okay, sorry.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry.
You're a resource.
Mhm. Has anyone else not gone yet, or was I the last one?
Catherine.
Okay, pass it to you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much. Glad to be here. And like the other Catherine, I am in the mountains. I am in South Asheville in Buncombe County, where we have a wonderful elections director who just does a great job with public information and getting the word out. I am a longtime journalist, most of it in public media and nonprofit media. And I'm currently the editor of a weekly newsletter called NC Local, which is part of the NC Local News Workshop at Elon University. And its mission is to support and connect and help news organizations across the state collaborate, innovate, and become more sustainable. I have been following for a really long time sort of this change in journalism where instead of covering the horse race, there is much more interest in covering the issues that are of concern to people and then bringing those issues to candidates and seeing where they stand and how they voted in the past and what their positions are. It's called the Citizens Agenda, and it actually started here in North Carolina in the 80s with the Charlotte Observer, and it spread across the country. There's also a really interesting trend in news organizations trying to cover democracy all year long, not just during elections. And there's something called Democracy Day. I'll drop a link in the chat that happens every September, and it's news organizations across North Carolina and the country that commit to being pro-democracy journalists. So hopefully I can bring some of that communications and public information perspective to this group as we go through the administrative details that you all are such great experts at. I've been with my husband for 20 years and no kids, but we adopted a doodle rescue in August and almost 9 months now. His name is Cedro and he is the cutest little pup ever.
Let me ask you a question. It's really outside. The photo that you have behind your, I guess it would be the left shoulder, right shoulder. Can you tell us about that photo? It looks like a military and a dictator putting his hands up, or is it?
Yeah, so that's from, I probably got it like 15, 18 years ago. It's from a group out of Chicago called the Just Seeds Collective. And I don't know too much about what it means, but it looked to me like, I don't know, sort of people coming together and overcoming obstacles and challenges. So yeah, that's what that is.
Thank you. Thank you. And last but not least is Rachel. I mean, we don't have Darlene on the call or Kathy. Am I correct? We're not leaving anybody out?
Yeah, no, neither of them were able to make it.
Okay. But
Mhm.
Rachel, if you could just reintroduce yourself to the group, and I didn't want to leave you out. You're
Yeah, no worries.
you're the linchpin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. I'm the state coordinator for Team North Carolina with the Carter Center. I am born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. I have a degree in political science from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I previously worked as a campaign manager and met my husband while working as a campaign manager. We met at a press release. And before moving on, I then moved on as and went and became a legislative assistant in the North Carolina General Assembly. I worked with Representative Charlie Miller, if any of you all know him. Sarah, you might. He covers the coastal communities in southeastern North Carolina, so he has a decent bit of Brunswick County and a little bit of New Hanover. And then back in 2021, my husband and I, we got married and then started up a political and public affairs consulting firm, and had the privilege of working with the Carter Center for the first time on the Trusted Elections Tour in 2022. I'm so very excited to be continuing our relationship and getting to work alongside of them with the North Carolina Election Commission. Very excited to be here and excited to hear the conversations that come from this committee.
There's one more cool thing. Rachel got married at a rest stop on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Lovely, lovely backdrop.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a $60 park permit. I still tell my mom she got off super easy with that, because we didn't have a huge venue fee. It was literally $60. So she got lucky.
Beautiful venue. It really is. It's breathtaking, the Blue Ridge area. So if you haven't been there, you should take a drive there. It's just wonderful. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that. That's excellent. That gives you legacy that you can live on, and you're always tied to North Carolina no matter where you go. So it's always great to have that. I wanted to also just to identify, we have two other members that are not on the call, and Rachel just said, I think I said who they are. I have two laptops here because I just need to know, what's going on. But Darlene also is not here, and then Kathy. I think that's the other two members. So we have an 8-member committee. Okay, plus the others that are here. So just moving on, I wanted to share my screen here. Thank you, Rachel, for allowing me to do that. This is the agenda that in the future you will be getting ahead of time. I apologize. I did it this morning. I'm going to be very transparent at 5:30 this morning, because when you are as busy as we all are, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. But I want to say thank you to Rachel for being tenacious, and Dr. Martha for getting me going. But in the future, you'll get the agenda as we move forward with it. We're part of the, and here we are, the Election Infrastructure and Administrative Committee. You will remember that we're number 9 on the 11 list that Jennifer mentioned. And there were topics that were there. There's election officials' roles and responsibilities. You could read them for yourself. And we're going to discuss these topics in a moment. And I wanted to figure out, what does the committee wish to focus on? How do we divide and conquer? It's a large, expansive information. It's a lot of historical perspective. We also have, thank you, Catherine Thomas, for sharing the research. And that may be a resource as well. I also want to point out that we'll be talking about the schedule of meetings. This is a suggestion. The commission said that we should meet every other month, but looking at the target dates of deadlines, as I will show, June 1st is around the corner, and we're very busy people. So I wanted to suggest to the committee members that we meet maybe the second Thursday of the month, for each month, the dates that are there. And I put the whole year because we're I guess engaged for 2024. Whether or not we're going to be meeting after August 8th. And by the way, that's my birthday, so you don't have to give me a gift, but it is a celebration. I celebrate the whole month of August. But I put the other dates down, so to be consistent with what we're trying to do, we're trying to reach the objective and the purpose of providing a draft of our findings. And the preliminary, you can see here, I reviewed the deadlines set by the commission. June 1st, we have to have the final, vote on the commission findings. June 30th, we'll review and finalize that draft. And then on the 15th, that's tentative date, We're presenting to the whole commission on the draft findings. And then August 31st is preliminary draft findings. And I think all of you received that information when we first met, but I just wanted to rehash the agenda with you. And then August through November, it's to be determined what we'll be doing. But if everybody's okay with this agenda for today, I wanted to really just set the tone of what we're going to be doing. If we need to have guest speakers, it's suggested to have a guest speaker. There's some great suggestions by Martha. And if everybody's fine with me calling you by your first name, I'm good with that. If we have to call each other by the last name, I'll destroy it. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to destroy your last name, some of you. But Thomas, I think I can handle that last name. But if you're fine with calling each other by first names, please, by all means, let me know. If you have another preference, place it in chat and we can take care of that. But to move on, we've done the introductions. Let's talk about the topics that we're being charged with to identify in the focus area. So does anybody have any feedback, or Martha, if you wanted to jump in and give any feedback at this point on the direction the committee should take?
So these are just ideas that you guys could address. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to election administration. And it occurs to me after, my conversation with Shara at October 9th, we should really add training, not just for election board members, but for poll workers, although that might be a election day process issue, but it doesn't hurt to run into that as well. But yeah, these are suggestions. Just to clarify, number 6 on philanthropic giving was sort of focusing on the Facebook funds and the Schwarzenegger funds that went into the election. And I'm happy for any of these to give suggestions about people who can help us learn about them. I've got some research for some of these that I can share. And I know of people who can suggest things. So I'll just stop and let you continue.
So if anybody wants to give any feedback, I know Shara, your name came up in for number 6 or for the poll. I'm sorry, for adding training for poll workers. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate to the group.
It is there. My bad. It's number 4. I sent it.
Okay, I just wanted to just make sure we're on the same page, because as we move forward, there's such large, vast information here, but we want to be very, and my background is training folks, but I take the big picture and I narrow it down and find the solutions that we could have. So I see all of these items here as solutions, but it's a lot of work. So I wanted to make sure that the order works for everybody. How do we divide and conquer? I wanted to hear from you. Because you're on my screen, Catherine, I see you here. I'm going to ask you if you have any feedback on these particular subject matters or these topics, or if you wanted to narrow it down. These are just suggestions.
So is our goal just to have them in an order that we would prioritize 1 over 8, and then am I understanding the goal correctly?
Well, if I understand what the objective is that we have to really talk about how do we move forward with the infrastructure of the committee, of the suggestions, the findings that we have to have. So my understanding, I think that we need to understand the roles and responsibilities and powers of this group, of what we talk about, election, poll workers, or the administration of it. I think that's vital. And then we can talk about the rest. Safety is pretty high up there, considering the temperature of the climate and the environment we're working in. But yes, I think you're on point with that. But I wanted to see if everybody wanted to focus to knock any, let's start there. Is there any topic from 1 through 8 that we do not need to address in this committee?
This is Sarah. I'm curious what number 6, the philanthropic giving, what would we be talking about? Because the General Assembly has passed legislation that says that boards of elections can't take any private money. And as one that got some private money in 2020, that brought a lot of heat to us, creating lots of records requests. So as an election administrator, even if I were allowed to, I probably wouldn't take private money again.
So I will let Dr. Martha answer that question.
Well, so I guess the question I have is, I understand, I know there was a lot of heat. And you probably fulfilled a lot of records requests from people that made that a real pain in the neck. I hear. So the question is, was it the right decision? Was it a decision that the state legislature made this summer? And I guess that was the Senate Bill 747 so this outside money, fulfilled a lot of uses for election boards, right? Like ensuring safety. I guess the question is, should it have gotten the bad rap that it got? Should it have, is there anything I guess the big question is, so, Pat says, well, we're talking about solutions. Well, is it worth even talking about now? I hear you loud and clear, though. I understand that, that's been a pain. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that considering what you just said, Sarah, I would put it at the bottom because my background is also in fund development and philanthropic. I guess you could call me as funding. Okay, yeah, I just try to hunt for money, sponsorship development. But I think philanthropic giving would be something that may cause some static. Maybe we should put that on the sidebar for now. If everybody's in agreement with that. I think
And so
right
maybe we talk about funding, because county boards of elections are funded by the county commissioners. And so how can we, encourage county commissioners to fulfill the actual request that a county board of elections comes with? Because the challenge is we always get what we need most of the time, but the nice to have to improve what we do is not usually on the table for most counties. So maybe it's, how do we get the money from a source that we could actually use the money, since we can't take private money anymore?
I
Yeah,
agree. I think you just substitute how these different counties are funded, because the bigger counties are working with a bigger pot of money and can provide more extensive training. And I think you'll see that in some of the materials we have here in Wake County. So I think funding is an important topic here. I would just craft it towards the funding of the different county boards of elections.
Okay. We're supposed to be gathering information, so this is really good information to have. Many of us may not be well familiar with what you're talking about, Sarah and Shara. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
You are?
Shara. Or should I call you Judge?
No.
Okay. Just want to be right on the
That might
protocol.
put a bullseye on me right now.
So I'll call you Shara. It's a really nice name, by the way.
Thank
So
you.
I think we need to start gathering information. I would ask Sarah, if you could just put together, so I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, Martha, or not, or Rachel, please let me know if I am. But if you could just think about putting together some data, just bullet point about the topic that you're talking about, the pros and cons of the philanthropic giving, because it's on the list. If we're not going to continue with it, we should give some sort of information why we're going to put it down in the list here, and just to give the commission some information of what we're not going to be considering. Not so much, we keep both things. We say what we're going to be considering, what we're going to be working on is the focus area, but this is why we're not going to be talking about philanthropic giving at this time. Things may change down the road a piece. As we all know, they do change with the climate. So Sarah, if I could ask you to give some information on that, that'd be great. And then also, Shara, you mentioned item 5, the funding of this. If you can just give some information on that, why we should focus in, or instead of talking about philanthropic, talk about the funding of these counties that you talked about, because it's important to know where follow the money, see where the funding is coming, because what we want to do is increase credibility, safety of our election processes across North Carolina. So if I may, we need to gather information So we can put together the draft form, and I'm going to go down the agenda. Remember, we're trying to develop that finding. We're trying to develop a report. It doesn't also have to include everything, but if we're knocking anything out, the philanthropic, now we know that we're going to be talking about why we're not going to be considering that as part of the focus area that we're going to be talking about. But the topics of election officials' roles and responsibilities, powers and ethics and authority, I think that's embedded in the, I don't want to say bylaws, but the manuals of how you operate. We have many counties across North Carolina. I'd like to hear something back from Martha. What was the thought process behind that? Is there a overall arching issue that we need to identify and gather information on? Or is it specific by certain areas? Are we identifying areas of authority that are overarching for the state? How far down are we going?
I guess the thing to say is that this is a list that can get you started.
Okay.
And you all should decide how far down, I guess, you want to go.
I think
what
if
you
stay on the
wanna
state level, it'll
cover?
be safe, because I
Yeah.
think what we could do is see if there is, I work in the space of identifying gaps. See if there's a gap across the state that we have to address, that maybe roles and responsibility may be
Gaps,
different
yeah.
than the
I
state level.
suspect your
and why.
gaps are going to be due to funding, different types of funding in different counties. I think that's where you're going to find your gaps, just based on my experience.
Mhm.
I think, a lot of people out here, the general public, they don't even have a framework or an outline of how elections are governed in the state. Like we have a state board of elections, then we have county by county, 100 counties across the state,
Mhm.
and they're in charge of their own elections. I think that's one way of educating the public, go from that point and go in a funnel,
Mhm.
and then get more specific as you go down. But I
Okay.
think you'll find in more rural counties with less money, you're probably going to get less training. It's just, I don't know that for sure, but I suspect that to be the case.
So I would add to that, and just moving it along, because I want to be mindful of time, but also to just when we talk about election directors and staff, I'd like to move that down the list, because I think what we're focusing on here, and this is just my perspective, when I saw what's happening in the last election and just the credibility questions and just the processes that we went through, poll workers were targeted. I think safety is very important. So I think item 1 and 3, and I think with that, if we focus on that, we may see where there's gaps in poll worker recruiting and training. I think we need to talk about pipeline. A lot of I don't know how they are in all the counties, but I know when I was at a precinct in Charlotte, and I worked in several, they were senior citizens and people that were retired.
Oh,
Very few are college students, Catherine. And, even though I thought I was always a young blood, I'm older. I'm a senior. I just deny it all the time. But the thing is this, that you have to have continuity. And we talk about succession planning, career planning. We have to make sure that we stabilize the pipeline as well. So that training is important, not only for poll workers, but for the election staff as well. So I think if everybody would allow me, I would put that all together and send an email out and see how we can put that in one concentrated area. Because I think 2, 4, and item 8 may be together. I don't know. So I wanted to hear what anybody would think about that.
Continuity is a good point, and also consistency. And how we can increase consistency across the state.
Can I jump in? And to me, it seems like March is going to be a testing ground, particularly for some of the things that have been passed in the law, right? The opportunity that there'll be more observers and things like that. So I wonder, is there anybody who actually collects the data on safety and harassment? So we've got this primary coming up. Is there a way that we could, if that's not being collected, invite election directors to report or share any challenges that they face? So I keep thinking, this is the real test for whether or not the new parameters are going to have an impact, or just the climate. So I think we all instinctively think maybe that's a possibility, but I think it'd be important that we actually have hard data on that, because it could be that there are no issues around that. We might be surprised to learn, but it feels like we need to collect that in this primary. So I'm curious if anyone knows if that's already, do folks already report that? And where would that be?
I see Martha's hand up. I went from stop sharing so I could see the hands. Martha, what did you
Okay.
want to say? Is it on this topic of March?
Well, so yes, but there is information on the violence that election directors face. I have a report that one of my students prepared, but also I think Catherine's experience with issue 1. I think their report that they did focused a lot on the West, right, Catherine? The Western.
They
states?
mainly did the Western states because they all had very uniform election administration, so it was easier to compare
Mhm,
apples
mhm,
to
mhm.
apples instead of apples to oranges.
But
Well, I'm wondering
also-
specifically about North Carolina though, right? Do we know specifically of incidents that have been occurring? That, because to me, I need to see that. I just don't know what the state of safety is currently.
So 2 things. First, there's a professor at Chapel Hill, Jason Roberts, who did a survey on, I guess, a variety of things concerning how safe poll workers felt. But I love the idea of assessing what March is like as sort of a proving ground. And I'm not sure how we study that. I mean, I guess getting the election directors coming in, or is there a way to sort of get a sense of maybe Democracy North Carolina has something, or is it maybe an interest group? But yeah, I think I mean, like, let's take the temperature now, given what happened. But I will send you a research report, but it's not going to be, it's going to cover a lot of the election violence that people are, that election directors and poll workers have. It really establishes that it's a problem. This report my student did, along with a lot of their research articles, but it doesn't take the temperature right now. That's a very smart idea.
Martha and everybody, I'm going to jump in and ask, safety is one of the major concerns that we always talk about, and it's been in the forefront of, I think, of my mind. I don't know if anybody else, but safety came to the violence, the safety. Having someone like Jason Roberts, you said, Martha, to come and maybe speak to the group.
Yes, I think he would be great to talk about his research. So I can ask him if he'd be willing. He's also on the Orange County Election Board, or at least he was when I last talked to him. So I could ask him to come and give a talk.
Everybody agree with that? Everybody agree with
And
that?
I'll just chime in, Kathy Holland, that is also on this committee. She's not here today. She's a great resource for that. She's a retired county elections director from Alamance County, but that is the work she's doing right now, is working on the safety and things like that for local election administrators, to include poll workers. So she would be probably a great resource.
So
she's
may I suggest the following for the March meeting that we're scheduling, or actually for the next month? No one picked it up, but we've skipped February. Just want to say, and I'll put in a February date, but maybe for the February meeting that we have, maybe we should see if Martha, if you can reach out to Jason Roberts.
Okay.
Minute overview. I don't know about everybody, but you glaze over if it's longer. 15-minute overview, very concise about safety in this area. And then in February also, Kathy Holland, we could give her a heads up, reach out to her, Sarah, and see if she would be able to do a 15-minute overview. That would be 30 minutes of information. And Leslie, I think that would be great if you could give any information about the March testing. Also send that, what your suggestion is. I think that's very valuable as well. And then Catherine Thomas, I'm sorry to say, but I think your research is going to be needed as well. So I don't know if you could share that, and we could do our own reading and take care of that. I know that we have in chat, we have a link that Catherine shared to Democracy Day, is it, Catherine? And there's some other items there. And this meeting is being recorded. I think Rachel will be sending out the minutes. But if you've missed anything, we can take it from there. But I don't know if everybody would agree with that for the February date, which is not on the list. I must be on vacation, thinking not that I'm not going to be around. But if that works for everybody, how does everybody feel about that? That would be February 8th.
So you want me to try and ask if Jason can come on February 8th?
Correct. For a 15-minute overview on safety on that research that he's talking about, and give us some information.
So I'm going to send you guys a research packet as well,
Okay.
sometime in the next couple of days.
Okay.
But I'll ask Jason what he can tell us from the survey.
Perfect. And
Which I'm sure Sarah completed because he had all but like one election director complete it. So thank you on his behalf. That's important. I know we academics ask the election directors to do a lot of surveys, and I am very sorry for that. I've been trying to get people to minimize how many they send to you because I know how busy you are. But still, you probably get a million of them at this point. On the other hand, we're paying attention to election administration like never before. So that's the good side, right?
I think the feeling is we're starting to learn that they're legitimate. I mean, I think a lot of local election administrators, when a questionnaire came through, we were like, so like Leslie asking about tracking it in March. I don't know the best way to do that and the best way to actually get responses from all of the directors. You know, maybe it is if we wanted to get some firsthand information, then ahead of the election, we kind of put the word out that says, hey, we really want to collect this and look at this. So be making notes. And then, you know, if we want a simple questionnaire, I don't know what that looks like. I'm definitely not an academic. So coming up with like what a survey would look like to capture that. I think giving the county election directors a heads up that you want something like that would be beneficial.
Okay. And everybody, I wanted to just give you heads up into the chat. Jennifer has added a couple of other things this committee needs to think about is 4 questions for polling and how we want to capture public input. So just to move it along, I want to say that if everybody's in agreement, we would meet on the 2nd Thursday of each month, including February 8th. That's not on the agenda. Does that work for everybody, first of all? So this way we could set the work as it goes along. Is anybody not in agreement with that time?
Well, this is a big committee, so I'm not the only one, but I can tell you the March meeting is the day before our election canvas, so I will not be available.
So we could adjust that at the February meeting.
Yeah, and it's fine. You don't really need me, but I thought I'd just put that out there. That is a very busy time for
No,
for
we
me.
need everybody. Everybody's valuable on this committee. You give your
Can
time.
I-
Treasure. Yeah.
Can I hate to disrupt the flow,
Mhm.
but I do want to bring attention to what Jennifer said, because we, Chris Cooper and Michael Bitzer set up relationships with polling organizations in the state. And we are hoping to be able to assess public opinion around some of these issues about elections. So if our committee has anything in particular that we would like to learn about public opinion, and thank you, Jennifer, for bringing that out, because I forgot, and happens. But also, if there's anything that we'd want to learn or capture about public opinion, we think that we could probably. So if there's things that you all think we need to know, you know, put it in the chat now, or drop me an email.
Okay. So I thank you for that. And it's being recorded, so we'll be reminded of that. So if everybody's agreeable on February 8th, do we need to have those 4 questions sooner than later? Just qualify that.
Jennifer, did you get a sense of that? When we need to
So-
have them?
We can check in with, I think Michael's the one that had all the connections with Elon and
Mhm.
et cetera. So I do think that having them by February would be helpful because a lot of those polls are going to go into the field and, you know, around the primary and fairly soon. So probably good to prioritize that.
Okay. So
Um,
4 questions for polling and how we want to capture public input by February 8th would be great. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, and guys, if they don't have to be perfect, right? Just put your general ideas. You know, there's a bunch of academics who can wordsmith. But, you know, just things that you think that we need to know or general questions, that would be fabulous.
So where are we sending these questions to? Do we send it to you or to send it to Rachel?
You send them to Rachel. And then Michael and Chris and I can work on them. Rachel, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's completely fine. That will help me out because I'll be probably getting all the questions from all the committees, and that way I can kind of store them and put them in just like one document to send to you all.
Perfect.
So as we go forward, if you are sending to Rachel, just copy me so I can know what's going on. It's just a matter of not coming to these meetings unprepared. Rachel is very communicative, so I know I'll hear ahead of time. There are a couple of other deliverables, Rachel, that we've been talking about. You'll capture them, I guess, in the minutes. But I want to be mindful of everyone's time, but also make this valuable to everybody. If we have the 2 speakers next meeting, by when will we know, Martha, when Jason Roberts will be able to come? And Sarah, when will you be talking to Catherine?
I'll reach out today to see if I can get a hold of her.
Yeah, I'll try and drop him an email today or tomorrow. I'm a little crazy with the conference, but I think I can, if I see him here, actually, I'll look and see if he's on the program. I hadn't had a chance to, maybe I can jump.
Do we
in.
have a time for that meeting? Will that also be 8:30 in the morning
Yes.
or are we, okay.
If this time works for everybody, it does for me. It's the beginning of the day. Actually, I start my day at 5. I don't know if anybody wants to meet at 6:30, but I would not have makeup on and I heck with the hair. Please take that out of the minutes. In any case, but if this
No,
time
it's
works for
recorded
everybody,
for posterity now, dear, so.
I know, but 8:30 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, no matter where you are, if that works for everybody, that's great. I know some of us travel. I know I going to the West Coast, I think in March, I'm not sure, but I'll be available. And then it's always going to be on Zoom. So that'll work out. And the dates are, I'll adjust the dates. You'll get the minutes from Rachel. And just to be mindful, we're talking about synthesizing that list of deliverables, and that's okay, but we're talking about safety first and the roles and I'm sharing my screen again. We're talking about election roles. We need to know what everybody does, not only on the national level. I think we need to just understand gaps. If anybody has information to share, that'll be great. We're getting some research links from Martha, from, I forgot who else, but we're getting some research links and that'll be coming through in the minutes. But also
Catherine.
from Catherine, thank you. And that's all we found there. And then we can, once we establish what are the roles and responsibilities, I think, then the direction becomes clearer. We can actually accelerate, I think, once we understand those 2 things. And then the violence is very important. And I think it's in the forefront of everyone's mind because like our journalists on the committee would attest to, that's usually what's reported a lot more. And we just want to make sure our poll workers are there because it may be a distraction or detraction for recruiting purposes for poll workers, recruiting and training. If someone feels it's not safe, they're going to say, that's not a job for me. I'm not going to get involved. But democracy is very important for everybody, no matter where you are. And especially,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm so sorry because you're
That's
on
okay.
a like an amazing roll. and I
No,
would
it's
love-
okay. You stop me, it's
You're
fine.
absolutely, I hope you're, remember a lot of the wordsmithing that you're saying now can go later into your report. Like I've heard you say things, I'm like, holy cow, that needs to go into the report, right? This is why we're doing this. I wanted to also, Jennifer left one more comment. Again, I want to be mindful of time, but Jennifer said we want to confirm that we understand something or that we agree with it. So that steering committee had thought that, I mean, to a certain extent, we want this to be public and for people to be able to be a part of it.
Mhm.
We were thinking that the fact finding things, so like if we have Jason speak, we have Kathy speak, that those would be recorded and on
Mhm.
Zoom and on our commission website. But when it comes to deliberations, we thought those should not be recorded because we want everyone to feel like that they can say their opinion. So it's really important that we set that up from the get-go, or at least understand and agree from the get-go.
Those are expectations that we should all agree on.
And so I don't know how people feel about that, but I want to make sure that we agree. So I'll throw that out to you. And again, sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And I have to apologize. I have people at my door. There seems to be some sort of this when the CEO stops by and then 3 other people stop by and just tell me 2 minutes. There's something going on. Nothing disastrous, but something that they need me to be in. So I just wanted to wrap up to just understand that we're going to see about these 2 speakers. We'll get the minutes. Expectations on the turnaround on minutes. Rachel, do you have an idea? Okay.
She may have had to
So
step
follow
away.
up with her.
Okay.
Follow up with her later.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry, it broke up for a second. Could you repeat
Oh.
yourself?
And Leslie had to step away. It's time to wrap it up. So just want to be mindful, but I also want to make it, robust meeting that we have. I'm excited about listening to Jason's report on his survey along with Catherine. It's Kathy Holly. For next meeting, we'll have some information to read, some links, some research. And Catherine Thomas, thank you for sharing your information. And then also Jennifer, thank you for reminding us about the 4 questions. We'll send them all off to Catherine, to Rachel. She will combine them all from all the committees and then share them with us as well. We've also agreed that the deliberations would not be recorded. What did you say? Not posted on the website. But
So we wouldn't record deliberations, right?
Perfect.
Because we want everyone to feel comfortable saying what their views are
Mhm.
and not have to be subject to any sort of things like poor Sarah's gone through with the whole, using philanthropic dollars that were given to you to help, I don't know, increase safety.
Yeah, it's interesting how
Yeah.
people can misconstrue words. And in this,
Yeah.
I also am in cyber security world. People take things out of context all the time, and one word can become fodder for someone else. And I can stand by those words. It becomes fodder for many things. But I want to thank everybody for the time. Jennifer, I don't know if you have any parting words for the group.
no, I agree. Just thanks for your time and commitment and your incredible expertise and knowledge, because we have a lot of talent right here. And we are, it's all about helping the citizens of North Carolina know that their system is secure and safe and fair. And we're going to keep working on that. So thank you all.
I want to thank you personally for your leadership. I live in Charlotte. I wish you were the mayor forever. Wish you were the governor. You should be the president of the United States, but and you could take them out of the minutes if you want, but I just want to put it out there. I think you're an amazing leader. You're always looking for innovation, but not forgetting those people whose voices matter. And I think you've been part, and I think the world of the steering committee, along with you, Dr. Martha, I've read some of your, I'm still not, I don't have your book yet, but I have to read other things. But I have it's number 9 on my list to read. But I do think that we have an amazing group of all of you, and facilitating this committee is really a pleasure. It's an honor. And I just want you to know that anything that you may say or do, if you need some feedback from me, whatever it may be, feel free to text me or to send me an email. But I'll see you all on February 8th, and just wish you well.